Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Today, let's talk about what is going on in the economy. I am going to be 100% honest. I have not been paying attention to the Wealthy On podcast or any of the podcasts that I would typically listen to see kind of just what's been going on, because I can tell what's going on my own. However, this morning I thought, you know what? I'm going to listen. I'm just going to see what they're talking about. And it's the same crap over and over and over. If you want to be in the market, it's risky. This is like the general consensus of what every financial advisor talks about on that podcast. And it's just, when you really listen, like when you know what I do, when you have a different perspective, and then you start to listen to those guys, it's like they tell you, well, if you want to play it safe, go in a money market account within your investment. That's what the one guy said today. Be in a money market account because it's not safe in the market. But yet all these retirees, which is what he was talking about, all these retirees are in the market and there's going to be downturns. I talked to somebody this week that they plan to live to be 90. I said, you have 3 more downturns. Every 10 years, there is a market fluctuation and it goes negative at least every 10 years. So you have another 3 more coming. So if you want to stay there, you sure can, or you can get moved out of that to do something else that you want to do. I don't care if it's infinite banking. I don't care if it's real estate. I don't care what it is, but there's risk in everything. And so when people talk about, well, what's the risk of IBC? Oh, there's too much risk in real estate. Well, what's the risk in the market? Everybody's got money in the market, and yet you're not looking at that as risk because you've been brainwashed to believe that it's okay to have that risk. It's not okay to have that risk. So anyway, that is the one thing that they were talking about. And then, of course, they were talking about which stocks you should invest in and what's happening with these stocks and blah, blah, blah. The one thing that I did find interesting is that they were visiting about Airbnb stock and how that came down. And they had said that all of the COVID money is gone. So what happened is during COVID, people were getting this money and a lot of people were saving that money, or they had the opportunity to work some side hustles and they had saved up some of that money. And so there was a lot of money sitting in savings and a lot of money that was yet to be spent, and that is now gone, according to whoever tracks that. Can we trust them? I don't know, but here's the news. And so if that is gone, now what's happening is we're going to see a tightening of the purse straps, right? People aren't going to be going on the vacations that they were going on because they're not going to be paid to do so. They're not going to be going out to eat as much, because what happened originally is they saw that money being spent on home improvement. And I saw that even where I was at. People were at home and they didn't like their house. And they're like, well, now I have to work from this place and I don't like it. So I'm renovating, I'm redecorating, I'm repainting, whatever that means. Now they're not using that money. For the last year, they haven't been using that money for that. Instead, they've been using it for fun things, lifestyle type things. Well, now we're out of that money. So we're even going to see purse straps tighten even a little bit more. So we're not going to see as much spending in, people aren't going to be going and buying plants. They're not going to be going and putting in big gardens this year. They're not going to be going and doing vacations. So a lot of that stuff we're going to see change. I thought that was interesting because as a person that likes Airbnbs, I look at that as an opportunity, because there are going to be people that have wanted to purchase an Airbnb, but they haven't been able to do that because they think the market is saturated. Well, if you go back, and you guys have heard me talk about Sean Moore's course that I am taking for Vodacy, and it's an amazing course. It's worth every penny, but it is a proven fact. If you listen to what he tells you to do and you do it smart, you can buy a property and move it to number 1 in that area. You don't have to buy the number 1 property, because you can buy a number one property and get it down to number 100 in that area if you don't know how to manage it, if you don't have good pictures, yada, yada, yada. And so it's very important to be able to do that correctly. So I look at that and go, oh, there's going to be some Airbnbs for sale, and everybody's talking about Airbnb bust, but somebody has to survive. It doesn't really matter. Somebody has to survive. Not everybody is going to quit traveling. However, again, thought that was super interesting that Airbnb stock is down and that, some of these tech stocks are up again because of, for whatever reason. Now, I absolutely do not play the market and I don't care to play the market, but it is interesting just to kind of see where people's interest lies in the economy and what's going on there. Another thing that they had talked about that I was frustrated with, it's just how the government works and manipulates our economy with interest rates going up and down and inflation and those sort of things. But I feel like people need to pay attention to finances so they understand what's happening in this country. Most people, most young people, even some old people think that the guy that's selling the widget, okay, let's just pick on Walmart because I always do, that Walmart is the bad guy because they're increasing prices. And that's what's causing the problem. When in fact, Walmart now, obviously, they're not buying stuff with cash, you guys. They most likely have some sort of line of credit that they're buying stuff with. Well, if that line of credit is at 10%, that means that your product is going to go up. And what we don't think about in this country is something is only worth what we will pay for it. So when the housing market was going crazy, that house is worth that because somebody is willing to come in and pay it. We have locally here, we have some acreage that's for sale. It got listed really, really high. And I was like, there is absolutely no way that they are getting that for that property. No way. Then a property right next to them came in and listed vacant land for equally as high. So what happened is somebody said, oh my gosh, that's a great deal. This one has buildings on it. That one doesn't. So the perspective is that it's worth that. So they got exactly what they were asking for. It even appraised out. And it appraised out because the bank that they went to knows the area. They're willing to take the risk because it's in development area. And so it's very interesting when people are like, well, that's not worth it. Because when that property got posted on social media for sale, everybody went crazy that that property is not worth it. No way is that property worth that amount of money. Well, somebody came in and paid it. So now it's just rising the price of everything, right? It just rose up on the price. Well, if everybody is going to pay more or what they think it's worth, it's going to raise prices. It just people don't get that. That if somebody is willing to overpay because they want it bad enough, Parkinson's law, right? We want it so badly that we will pay more for it. Well, then that just raises the prices of everything else. If someone is willing to pay more for their Oreos, then guess what? The price of Oreos will go up. If people quit paying that price, then they would go down or they would stay the same or they would just take them off the shelf. But no, we want stuff bad enough that we just throw it in our cart and then we complain about it. And then the government comes in and says, oh, but there's still a lot of people working. So the more people that are working, that's bad for our economy. So what the government is trying to do right now is drive down employment. They want more of you unemployed. So you don't have the money to spend. So therefore, it looks like we can lower the prices of things. We can bring interest rates down. Because the only way to penalize you and to bring the economy back to where it is for you to either pay a lot of money and you to say, nope, I'm not going to pay that. So the more interest we charge you, the more you're going to say, nope, I don't want to pay that. Forget it. I don't want it. And then the government will say, okay, everything's stabilizing. Or for you to not have a job so you can't pay it. So the more business that's created, the more income that's created in this country right now, the more they think that's bad. Explain to me why that is bad. That is not bad. The more jobs we have, the more people we have employed. Fantastic. They're spending money. They're buying things. That is what money's supposed to do. It's supposed to flow. We're supposed to be buying things. But nope, that's not what the government wants. They want us to be unemployed so that our unemployment fixes their mistake of 0% interest rates and 2% interest rates. Because what happened is everything was so cheap, we just spent money like crazy. We couldn't afford not to have it. Now they have to fix their stupidity, which means put us out of work, stop us from creating businesses, increase interest rates. And all that's doing is hurting the little guy. It's hurting the middle class guy. It's not hurting the big guys because the big guys have enough money to do all their stuff. So I feel like if we opened our eyes and paid attention to exactly what is going on, and if you guys listen to some of these podcasts, like the Wealthy On podcast, I get that it's good information, but you have to be able to go, what the hell? Why are we doing that? That's so stupid. It's only worth what we're going to pay for it. Quit overpaying. If you are a millennial and a Gen Z and whatever generation you are, Gen Xers, you're no better. You're overpaying for stuff. Oh my God, I want that so bad. I'm just going to pay for it. Because some of us look out long term. I will overpay for something if I look long term and say, I'm going to hold that long term and I'm going to make the money on that. Right? But if it's a short term play, it might not be a good idea. We have to look at those things. But I can look long term and say that's going to be a good play because people are overpaying for stuff. And the price of everything just keeps going up. I'm going to take advantage of those who aren't making good decisions. Right? That's essentially how the whole world works. And it's crazy. Just stop overpaying for stuff or stop complaining that things keep going up because you keep overpaying. Your coffee is worth $7 because you're willing to pay $7 for a cup of coffee. If you would stop paying $7 for a cup of coffee, guess what? Your coffee wouldn't be $7. If you would stop tipping, everybody would think that they wouldn't need a tip, right? It's just that you want people to get paid more. So then if you want McDonald's employees to get paid more, your burger is going to cost more. It's all coming down to the little guy. This is why I don't listen to the news. And I've not listened to it forever because this kind of stuff just drives me crazy. Because so many people ignore it. They don't want to understand how the economy works. They don't get that we need no jobs in order to bring down the cost of things, to bring down interest rates. We shouldn't have any jobs. That is so counterproductive. Like, what? What? Let's just ruin our economy. So let's just have people unemployed to bring down interest rates instead of not having low interest rates in the first place. We had low interest rates so that we could buy things and drive the economy and have more money in the economy. Now that there's more money in the economy, now we need to take money out of the economy. So let's make it really hard for you. Let's take your job away or let's make interest rates so high that you can't afford to buy anything. It's really that simple. I guess I could have did this 15-minute podcast in like 2 seconds. But it's that simple. And if that does not anger you, then you need to listen to some more stuff. You need to get more educated about what's really happening because that is ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so that's the latest. That's the latest of everything going on that I listened to today. And now I'm angry. I'll get better. I'll get over it in 5 seconds when I quit talking about it. But it just is so counterproductive to me. because quit overpaying for things. It is, if we go back to what Nelson Nash was teaching, let's just go back to Austrian economics, supply versus demand. And let's just go there and let the government, just keep the government out of it. It is just as simple as that. Supply and demand. If you have a lot of things, you don't get paid as much. If you have a scarcity of things, you can charge more, right? It's just really that simple. It's not as complicated as what is happening in our economy right now. So anyway, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. If you need me, you know where to find me. So let me know, Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com. If you've not gotten the books yet, go to withoutthebank.com, grab your books. Yes, I am the agent. I've had a couple of those questions. I am a life insurance agent. I can help you implement the infinite banking concept. I can set up your policy correctly. I then turn into your coach. So as long as you are a client of mine, I am there to help you with anything, strategies, business ideas, whatever that might be. So make your appointment. And I know I'm booked out a little ways, so be patient, please. It's worth the wait. So make your appointment and let's visit and go from there. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. Talk to you in the next podcast.